recording, Diana? Yeah, that would be a yes. All right, guys, so I have on here your first sheet that you got, and Diana's going to share the sheet with you guys on Zoom so you can see, but this is a memo that came through from home office. There's new conservation forms, new information on conservation. For those of you that are new, have no idea what conservation is, that would be who? Just shut up, Reddy. You're fine. Haley would be brand new to it. Anybody else on Zoom that's brand new to it? Crickets. So just Haley. Who else is on my Zoom, Diana?
We have Jesse, Haley, and Reggie for some reason.
Okay, so yeah, so Haley and
I can't always see up this.
all right, so Haley and Drew, you guys are going to be my two newbies into conservation training and what that means. You guys are brand new into the field, so follow along. I'm going to kind of zip through it because I do have extra stuff I want to jump into a little bit more advanced because we only do have two that are new. But I'm going to go through what is conservation, what does it mean, what do we do, and then I'm going to go over these new forms. So conservation for Haley and Drew. Conservation is basically you went out and you wrote policies like you've been hearing talked about through training and watching out in the field is at enrollments and re-enrollments. You write that said policy. That person leaves their job in 3 months. What happens with their policy? It goes with them, right? How does it go with them? That's what conservation is called. So what you do is you call them as soon as you know, you call them and you conserve their policy to bank draft. And at bank draft level, they're drafted once a month. And that is, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth on that, but I just wanted to briefly cover what does conservation mean before I dive into what this new memo is. And then I'm going to get into the basics 101 of conservation and hopefully have time to move to a reinstate redate option, which is a little bit more advanced, but I have trouble getting into the more advanced because we have to cover the newer stuff for all the new agents, get them caught up to date. But it doesn't hurt to go back over the same information because it's a lot to remember. But I'm always here Monday through Friday. If you guys are here and want help with conservation, you just, hey, DeAnn, do you have time today or Friday? Can I get together with you to spend about a half an hour? I've got some conservation I want to work on. I want to learn how to do it. I will walk you through it step by step. Come hang out in my office. I will help you show you how to do it. Why do you want to do conservation? Anybody want to help out with the newbies? Why do we want to do conservation, Bobby? Right, Bobby, why do we want to do conservation? Okay, but what's the not right? It's not what you write, it's what you keep, but what does that mean?
So the people keep their
Your
policy.
renewals. So as far as Haley and Drew, when you write a policy, you get paid for that first year right out the gate, right? That next following Thursday, you see that on your paycheck. So what happens if they do leave their job in 3 months and you aren't able to conserve it? You have to pay back the rest of the next 9 months. You don't want to have to do that. You want to keep that policy in effect for that first year because then it goes into renewals and you get paid once a month every time that policyholder makes their monthly payment. You get a renewal percentage off of that policy. This is your retirement. It's important. So make sure that you understand that if they keep the policy and they're still working at their job till they're 65, 100 years old, great. You don't ever have to worry about it. But if they retire, you want to be able to move that to bank draft. Make sure you keep your retirement and your renewal. So that's the whole purpose to conservation. And I'm going to go in depth on how we conserve them to bank draft. It's super simple. Just a couple of clicks on a piece of paper, signature and all that. But jumping into the new stuff for conservation, we have a memo from home office stating that they are now accepting digital stylus signatures, which means you can get a signature on DocHub now. They are finally moved into the 20th century and we are not living in 1900 when the company was created. So yay, that's exciting news. Because it is such a pain that you have to get a wet signature on some of these forms and getting the reinstatements done. You can now send it to them on DocHub and get an instant signature. You don't have to go in person to their job, meet them at Starbucks, all that other good stuff. So they've done that. So if you guys can read through this memo, just a little bit of updates there. I'm not going to go too far in depth other than to tell you that we can now get a stylus wet signature instead of it have to be a wet signature. You guys will come across that information when you're dealing with Amanda or myself emailing you about documents that you turn in. We're like, can't send this in. It has to be a wet signature. Wet signature means they took a pen. It's still wet. They wrote it. Stylus signature means they can sign it on the computer on DocHub. However, you can get a signature written down. It's digital signature.
A stamp signature, you guys, if you're using DocHub, would be like type their name in and it like makes it look scripty. You haven't seen that, okay? So
yep,
that was
yep. So they have came out with the new conservation form. So that's the second page I wanted to show you guys. Is there's not a lot changed here other than the bottom portion. And those are for you that are new, like I'll read down the boxes. Everything's the same. Recoding pending business means that you're just recoding it from one agent to the next. That agent left, so you're recoding it into new agent name. Reopen means you're reopening a policy that's been closed, such as, I'm going to talk a little bit above some of your guys' head, but it's called if somebody had a COD and it fell off, but you were able to get them to agree to it 2 months later, you can reopen that and recode that into your name. Whole complicated thing, hardly ever do it. It's worth a try to call somebody 2 months later, even if they didn't want that COD, and try and get it placed. Recode issue business is the third one. That's payroll deduction to payroll deduction. That means that they went from one franchise to the next. And we have that happen a lot with especially the ambulance districts, fire departments, where they switch districts. So we have to change them from franchise we originally wrote them on to a different franchise. You just mark that box there. You obviously don't have to fill out banking information because they're not doing it. This form covers a lot. Recode issued business, payroll deduction to bank draft. That is the one that we are going to talk about today in Conservation 101. So recoding issued business from payroll deduction to bank draft. Sounds exactly what it means. They're going from being at a franchise, they left the job, they're now going to be getting a bank draft. So that's all you're going to do is mark this box, fill out bottom portion, turn it in. It has to have a QM, myself or Amanda's signature or Tony's signature to get sent in. And again, that goes back to this memo. We don't have to have a wet signature. We can do a stylus signature. So that means I can get mine or Amanda's or Tony's. We don't have to have a wet signature anymore. That's good on that one. It's when you guys get into the reinstatement and redates that the client has to sign it. That's where that affects you guys. But that is what a classic payroll deduction to bank draft. That's conserving a policy that you wrote on a franchise. Diana, can you pull up the conservation tracker? Alrighty. So we need to add in Haley and Drew. Anybody else not seeing? Bobby, you got logged in last time, right? Okay. Everybody can pull up their conservation tracker.
Is it A Fisher? Is your first name Andrew?
Andrew.
Yes, and then is it Fisher?
It's not fish.
No, that's not Fisher Ladovich.
That was not.
I was like, that is not.
You're like, not it. Will you please tell me what your last name is? Spell it.
Well, this customer partner, what is this? ICH.
I see it. Dot with that.
So wet signature so that they agree to this. You can have an email saying that they agree to this with their signature on it.
Where is
So it
this?
doesn't necessarily.
In the Google Drive.
So you're gonna go to Google Drive, your shared with me. You open your Google Drive and you choose shared with me. You should be able to do a search in the drive and you should be able to type conservation. And it should pop up conservation transferred from P. Okay.
Perfect. So where is the first place you're going to see if a policy drops off? Say you guys did not get notified by the owner of the franchise. You didn't get notified by the bookkeeper. Where's the first place you're going to find that policy fell off? ICM. You get paid and you get that information out of your ICM. That's also where you don't get paid. It's where things happen and where you can control what's going on in the next following week, what happened last week. So you need to be on a weekly basis, if not more often, depending on what information you like to constantly have in your head, but you should be in your ICM at minimum at least once a week. Payroll policies are submitted on Monday. They're uploaded on Tuesday. So you should start to see stuff in your ICM for that week on Tuesday. Pay goes out on Thursday. I would be checking that at minimum on a Friday. At minimum. Do you guys have a better recommendation, Diana, as how often to check? Tuesdays is better day?
So the only reason we say Tuesday is because we're already in there. You can look at it and it will show you at the bottom. Does everybody know how to do that, or do you need to pull up ICM to show you? Okay.
Yeah.
So
We can,
I can pull it up after you get done with your conversation. That way
Okay.
you know how to find it. But when you're looking at your ICM, so you can see that, then you can pull it up. Okay. So
Yep.
I'll pull it up.
Okay. So that is the first place you will find that a policy fell off. And that's something you better to do it on Tuesdays, you believe?
Updates on a Tuesday. That's whenever you're gonna update it. So if you open it on a Friday, you have to change the drop down box to the Tuesday date.
Yeah.
And refresh your screen.
There are times that information doesn't hit until later in the week. So if you're checking it, that's your usual routine on Tuesdays to see what policies went through. You're also going to see what policies didn't go through. That's going to be your first trigger of like, Ooh, I wrote that policy. I submitted it. Why didn't it go through? Let me go do some digging. Let me call DeAnn. Let me call Amanda and figure out what's going on. Why? Because that's affecting your paycheck right then and there. It's immediate. So is conservation. So is a policy that fell off is going to hit you. So you need to be aware and looking in your ICM and be proactive. So when we're transferring from payroll deduction to bank draft, Amanda and I usually will get these reports on Saturday. They get issued out to the AD and the your upline. And then they will be shared with you if it's a policy you wrote. So those of you, Drew and Haley, that are new, you're not going to see that coming to you at first because it's not going to affect you. No need to like drown you with emails that don't pertain to anything you need to do right now, right? So it just would be a lot more information that you don't need. But the first place that it's going to be your ICM. Second place is this tracker right here. I would be checking this tracker, looking at it. This is where you can actually add to your renewals and your retirement. You can add to your paycheck by going in here, conserving policies. So this tracker here is designed to put everybody's in there. As you can see on the bottom, it goes by agency director. You go in your agency directors, your team's tab. You look down and I have 3 different columns as far as when is it eligible for you to call. So Diana, you're in yours right now. Okay. So if you can, so let me go down to date to manager where that's in green. All right, so right here, current, this was just the Monday, the 11th. If you guys are watching this right here, it says date to manager. It's highlighted in green, right? That means it's open to right here, Diana, and then down the last 2, Julia. If I look up at the week prior, I've got Reggie, Anthony, and Nicole. So those are all your guys' policies that you should be working to conserve. It's a simple phone call. You explain to them, hey, I know, you just left your job, blah, blah, blah. Let's get you transferred over to bank draft. And this is where come sit with me and I will do some conservation calls with you and I will help walk you through what that sounds like. It's not as hard as it sounds. The sooner you make that phone call, the higher chances you have of keeping this. The longer you wait, the more chances they already started another job. They got offered these bright, shiny, pretty little benefits and they're like, eh. So I've got tips and tricks. I will walk you through it on good ways to talk to these people and get them to be like, yeah, absolutely. I'm taking that with me. So, but what I'm
basic level, if I can interject something, guys, the answer is no until you call.
Absolutely.
You lost it already.
Yeah.
It's
Your paycheck just went down and so did your persistency and that could affect your bonuses and all that too.
So the phone call can only help you.
Yep.
Whether they say no, like you already lost it, so it doesn't matter. If they say no, all right, no big deal.
Yep.
If they say yes, you save yourself money.
Yep.
So
and the sooner
you're
you make
not
that phone
always
call, the higher chances you are getting that money back. But it's already gone if you don't make the phone call, like she said. So highlighted in green means it's open to that AD, you and your upline to call and conserve. Your team is not going to call and conserve and take it out of your name and put it in theirs. And it won't be allowed once it hits Amanda's desk or my desk. I won't allow it either. So you have 2 weeks to make your phone call. At week 3, which is if you'll scroll up, Diana, right here, you see date to QM. That means Amanda and myself have the right to call on your policy and take that policy and put it in my name. I now get that renewal. I don't mind doing it. I have no problems doing it. Neither does Amanda. So I mean, it's not out there to like cut throat, but it's open to the QM to help call and conserve it because it helps the agency. It helps Tony's persistency. Overall helps everybody all the way around. So I will call, Amanda will call on those if it's open to the QM. It's still open to you to call. No one else can call at this point. This is at week 3. Now we go up one more line. It's date to agency is now highlighted in green. That means it is open to anyone in this agency to call and conserve that policy. And if you want to scroll all the way up, Diana, if you guys want to see how many policies just on Diana's team that are available to conserve. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. And if you want to click over, you got Terry's tab, Derek's tab, all 3 teams. It's the same all the way across the board. This happens so often because people change jobs. You don't go back out to enrollment for another year sometimes because mid-year doesn't happen. You don't get to know that they even left. If you're not watching your ICM, you're not checking this on a weekly basis. So it behooves you to make sure you do that to be able to conserve these policies to bank draft. And like I said, it's a very simple phone call. I can give you the tips and tricks, the breakdown of it, basically, hey, this is my options of what I can do. We can waive up to 3 months of payment. So I can go back into 3 months back on this tracker and I can tell them, hey, you know what? I can let those last 3 months go. I have the authorization to do so. We can get you on a bank draft and starting on between the 1st and the 10th of next month will be your first payment. You're back and forth. You didn't lose anything. Nothing changes. Payment's the same. It just comes out of your bank draft. Only downside is they don't get the payroll tax savings. That's it. Because they're on bank draft, they're not on payroll deduction. That's the only difference. Quality stays of the policy stays the same. Everything. Money stays the same. That's it. So make your phone calls. Come sit with me. Take advantage of it. I will help you walk through it. And so that is your basic conservation from franchise payroll deduction to home bank draft. Okay. And then the next one down is reinstatement bonus, reinstatement form, reinstatement application. So reinstatement is where I wanted to kind of go a little bit further in on things, but I wanted to show you on the other sheet that I handed you. They sent over this cute little, this one here, the checklist. Yes, that one. So they've got a checklist here for you. So it kind of gives you a very clear, oh, I am eligible to bank draft waiver premium. I am eligible to redate it. I am able to do a reinstatement, get a reinstatement bonus. So it gives you a quick rundown of what you need to do and what you can and can't do with each one. It looks a little complicated. So again, come sit with me. I will walk you through it. Grab 4 policies that you want to work on out of your team's tracker that's open to the agent, open to you. Come sit with me and I'll walk you through them. I'll get you the policy details information. We'll sit down, we'll make a couple phone calls. If it is not your policy, you can't see it in Epic, right? So what would you do?
So,
Yep, you just grab and highlight those policy numbers. And just say, hey, can you pull these up and see if there's any other policies attached to this person? And can you send me the policy details page? I'm working on conservation on Saturday or Friday afternoon. Do it ahead of time because we both have swamp jobs. So just send it ahead of time. Send me 10. I mean, do a couple at a time, but prep your conservation before you set your time that you're going to actually be making these calls. You want to know this information. Can I waive premium? Do I have to redate it? Can I reinstate it? What's the amount that I'm going to ask them to pay if I reinstate? Am I going to waive everything because that's easier for them because they're financially hurt? Okay, so you can waive up to those 3 months. But so that's kind of just a little tidbit. I want to get a little bit further into the reinstatement. So what does reinstatement mean? They're behind 3 months. Okay, you didn't get to them. You could waive it, but what if they go 3 months and 1 day? A reinstatement. You cannot waive any premium. They have to pay all 3 months now. 1 day over that 3 months and that's it. So they have to pay to reinstate. And so 91 days, they're paying all that premium. This is $100 a month premium. That's a lot. That is a lot. But it is in their best interest to pay that instead of have to restart the policy over and they may not qualify at that point. They've had this policy for 10 years. It's a life policy and they're now got diabetes. They now got high blood pressure. They didn't before. I've had Rich Wallace, who was head of quality manager when I started here as quality manager. He has 3 houses based off of reinstatement bonuses that he bought just off of conservation. 3 homes. That's what he made his living off of was conservation and reinstatement. I don't know how he did it, but he literally talked somebody into going to get a $5,000 personal loan to pay back their policies and to reinstate it. I'm like, you did what? He goes, yeah, what are you being shy for? Just ask. What is Tony's sale time? It's no until you ask, right? So a lot of times I won't go right at them with that. Hey, I can waive those 3 months. I'd be like, hey, so your policy's, $5.75 a week. So that's, 20, you have the dollars for them. You give them the lower number first because it sounds better before you offer the monthly. And I can switch that over to bank draft for you, but we will need to get these last 3 months paid up. I still have time to waive all 3 months. I'll let them tell me they can't pay for it and give me their sob story and let me kind of feel if they're lying or kind of give me a fib or are they really in a hardship? So that's part of where you kind of adjust that phone call. And that's where I want to sit down with you guys in my office when we can have some one-on-one time. You can hear how I break it down. I prep each policy before I call them because sometimes they have 5 policies. You need to have your information squared away before you call that person. You call them about 1 policy and they have 5, you all instantly sound like an idiot and they're not going to talk to you because you have no clue they had 4 other policies. It makes you sound very unprofessional, not prepared. So you want to make sure you have all that information. So gather your information, be prepared, but understand it's in your best interest to get all of that money back. So you reinstate it and you get a full reinstatement bonus. You actually make more money off of it. And that policy is now yours. You got paid for those 3 months that you saved. And now you get the renewals off the rest of that policy. If it is within this first year, and you get a reinstatement on those 3 months. You get them to pay back those 3 months, you get the rest of that premium. You take over that policy and you get the rest of premium for that year. And then after the end of the year, you get the renewals, percentage of the renewals after the policy does it, matures from its first year. So the reinstatement is really important because it puts money back in your pocket, keeps that policy in force. It does take a little bit more paperwork. There is a reinstatement application. There's one for health, and then there's also one for life. It's pretty simple. You fill out the portion that applies. It's just the basic information. They're going to ask you, is there been any health changes? You're like, nope. Is there been anything else that happened to you in the last 3 months? Nope. Anybody in here know how far back can you reinstate a policy? How long can it be last before you not allowed to reinstate it?
Isn't it like a year or something like that? Or is it 3 years? I can't remember.
You can go 3 years, 5 years. They have to pass a health questions again. They're gonna pull their medical information and go back and look at it to make sure that you're not, because if somebody's 50 years old and they don't pay for the policy for 3 years, you went to the doctor in 3 years and something happened to you because we're old as shit and things happen. So you went to the doctor, you now have issues, don't you? But they're gonna check, they're gonna make sure weight doesn't exceed. They're gonna make sure there isn't high blood pressure, other medications that disqualify you. The minute that happens, no, you can't reinstate it. Nothing happened, they don't pull anything in the medical record, they can pay and have it reinstated instead of applying for a life policy that's going to cost them now. Well, they signed up when they were 45, now they're 50. That's a big price jump for any of you that are out there enrolling. That's a huge price jump between 45 and 50. So would you rather pay this premium now, or would you want me to rewrite you a policy? Some people will go with, let me reinstate it, but that's the information you want to have on hand before you make that phone call. So don't hesitate when you're in this conservation tracker and there, you can unhide the columns and go back and pull somebody from a year ago and conserve it. I could set you up to do nothing but make phone calls all day Saturday. You just have to know your information about reinstating. So the redate, I wanted to jump into that. Any questions on the reinstate before I jump further? I know I'm going a little streamlined and I'm not going real in depth, but I wanted to be able to cover it. Any questions on the reinstatement? No? All right, so like this. Yeah.
Okay, so are we gonna have I'm sure Matt can probably go over it with me more, but are we gonna have a little bit more in depth on this conservation part? I know you have a lot to cram into with the hour that we've got. But,
okay. My next conservation class, which I was gonna plan on getting with Diana about getting me in more often so I can go conservation one-on-one way in depth and then go reinstate in depth. So yeah, I'm gonna restructure with Diana on training classes and do a little bit more in depth because we've been trying to do that. So yes, I will go a lot more in depth in the future. But we're gonna try and get me into training more than maybe once every other month. Okay. So I can go more in depth. But next time I'm down there, if we're on a Monday afternoon or a Friday afternoon, I will sit down with you and I'll go over those papers. And I help over the phone, and we'll get you through it. Okay, so on redate. So you've gone through, you've tried to get them to reinstate the policy. They absolutely can't do it. They're, really want to keep the policy. You don't want them to lose their policy because obviously you wrote it, right? So the last ditch effort is you offer to redate the policy. And you approach that in the same mannerism of, hey, I got authorization. I do have this option. You don't bring it up, throw it on the table on the first start, right? That is absolutely not what you want to do. Because you want them to pay for that policy because it's hurting your paycheck. You've been having, you got the disallowance, what do they call it, Diana? Chargeback, that's right. The word escaped my mind. So you got the chargeback and you're trying to get rid of that chargeback because it doesn't feel pretty. You wanted your full paycheck. So redate is going to be a last option you want to offer. Can you redate a policy? Yes, you can. What does that mean? All right, so think in your head. You've had this policy for 2 years, right? It's a life policy. Look back period is over, correct? You're in the free and clear. If they didn't catch it in your medical background, too late, too bad, so sorry, you're paying my life policy off my beneficiary. Thank you very much. So look back period's over, all right? So at 2 months, 2 years and 6 months into this, they fall off, they lose their job and everything else. And they're talking to you, they're like, why? They're saying, no way. There's absolutely no way I can do this, okay? You're 6 months behind. This is what we need to do, but you now have all these health issues. We don't want to let this policy lapse. So we're in a critical position here. They can't afford the 6 months. You can't waive anything at this point. So there's no reinstatement, no waiver. So your last ditch effort to throw out to them is, let's do this. I do have the option. It's not a great option. We can redate this policy. So you offer to redate it. What does that mean? So she owes for 6 months, right? She's had policy for 2 years. She let it go for 6 months. You're trying to redate it to cover back that 6 months. Follow me? So you actually, by the time you're done with the application and the paperwork, it's going to be like you wrote that policy a year and a half ago, not 2 years ago. Follow me? Everybody's like dead silent.
No, I'm not contesting.
Yes, it does. And what else would it affect?
Do your paycheck. Wait, no, it's a year and a
There we
half.
go.
Age, date of birthday.
She had a birthday in there.
She had a birthday from the time you wrote the policy till now. So if that birthday fell in that 6 months, so basically you wrote it in January. So we're
So
2
her
years
premium
forward.
may change then, right?
Huh?
Her premium may change then, right?
Exactly. Premium is going to change as well. So you wrote the policy in January, 2.5 years later, we redate it 6 months. So you actually wrote that policy in June is when you wrote it, not in January 2 years ago. So now if she had a birthday in there anywhere, her premium's going to go up. And also the look back period is now changed.
So it's.
Those are the critical ones to know.
6 months, right?
Mhm.
It's not redating it to her current age right
Nope.
now, it's just.
Redating it,
Like,
you
oh,
basically like you wrote the policy 6 months later than when you actually wrote it. So they're basically going to take the policy, reverse forward the date that you originally signed it from January. They're going to act like you signed it in June. So that's a redate. Wipes all the premium, but it also changes the look back, changes the price. And if there was any health issues and she's still in the look back period, that's a problem. So that's something you need to be very clear with them when you talk to them about redating. Okay, well, any health issues? Well, yeah, actually, I've been going to the doctor for high blood pressure. I'm diabetic now. That changes that whole story. If there is still in that look back period, something happens to.
And then she doesn't, if nothing happens for 6 months, she's completed. Because it's only the 6 months that they're.
Yes, but home office is also going to do a medical background check.
So, let me ask you a question.
So they will catch it and then they will decline the policy.
They had 3 years, they had back 6 months. Their health doesn't matter because it's not
So-
contestable, right?
But they still have to get approved for the reinstatement.
Yes, which means they're not going to allow you to go do that if you got issues.
Home office can't
Yeah.
put.
Even if you make a case saying that during the non-contestability period.
They can.
Well,
Not always, not always. It's a very gray area. I've had some go through, I've had some decline. So you want to be very cautious with that. So that's where you're going to go back to. Okay, well,
They declined it.
Yep.
Your option is to pay back that premium.
Yep.
What if you write a poetic email? That person comes up.
I write very good poetic emails to home office, basically tell them what I think of them in very professionally, politically correct words, but I basically said a lot of bad words at the same time. So,
Okay.
I've done that. It doesn't go over very, yeah,
Write something beautiful. I'm sure that'll move their heart.
it does. It does not.
When I was there, they felt very compassionate. Oh, yeah. Whole
We're
bunch
not
of
numbers.
Well,
It's not
I
really-
digress. I'll let you.
That's okay. But you guys see where it can get sketchy and glitchy. So you want to be very, very, very careful with this redate. It is an easy one when it's been a month and they haven't had a birthday. They're young, they're in their 20s or something, they're in their 30s. But when you start hitting in the upper ages around 50s and you're getting as old as my ass, you want to make sure that you talk to that person like, oh, what's your health like? What we got going on here? Because they're going to sign a piece of paper and you're signing it too. You're
We've been doing the QAC call for
Mhm.
even for people below 40. But we really don't know.
You have no idea when that QAC call is coming because those underwriters can do a spot check on your medical record. If something flags and they have a question mark, they're like, no. And that's all they have to do is spot check. And they do spot checks. It's not a consistent. They're hitting somebody at a specific age at 30 on. They do consistently from 50 on. You will get a QAC call no matter what. But they do spot checks. They'll sit there and they'll just randomly pull somebody out that was ran through on Monday. They're like, let's just spot check this one. They come back with medical record information. They're like, oh, really? So you have to be prepared for that. So that's part of your enrollment process of making that conversation very clear with your client when you're setting one up. So redating is very touchy. I've done it. It's just a matter of the form, and I've like got this checklist here that Diana has up. So there's a checklist there. You can waive and reduce is your next option. So I want to tell you that I'd rather you waive and reduce before you redate because of those health issues and those health questions that can pop up. So redate is the first quick one everybody wants to run to before you do waive and reduce. And why would that be?
Cause you're losing emotional stuff.
So if you waive and reduce, think of the words. You waive premium, so you just gave away 3 months of your money that you should have had in your paycheck. And now you're going to reduce the policy face value. So guess what's going to happen now? You're only going to get whatever half of what you were getting before off of this policy. So it's not in your best interest to waive and reduce. It is your option to keep a client that is worth keeping and keeping them coverage where they wouldn't have coverage if they drop this policy. So waive and reduce is another one that I want to go more deep dive, but I'm going to briefly kind of just overview it. So waive and reduce. You were going to waive 3 months, but they also are saying, okay, that's great, Lori. I appreciate that. That really is going to help, but I can't afford that. Even in 3 months, I know I'm not going to be able to afford it. This has happened. My mom moved in with me. I'm taking care of her medically. This is going on. There's no way I can keep this, but I do have to have coverage. I can't afford it 5 years from now to try and sign up. It's going to be twice as much. You're right. Yeah, it is. Okay, well, then you can say, well, what we can do is reduce the amount of your policy so to reduce your monthly premium. So say they have a $50,000 policy. The rules are you can only reduce by 50%. The policy has to be paid to date before you can reduce. So if they owe 6 months, you can't waive. You know what I'm talking about? So they have to get to where the policy is paid current, then they can reduce it. No more than 50%. You don't want to offer them 50% right out the door, right? So there goes half of your premium that you make, and that's your paycheck. That's your retirement. So you got to protect that. So you don't want to automatically go straight to 50%. So it's a $50,000 policy. It's like, well, why don't we look at what it would be cost for a $40,000 policy? You guys all been to enrollments? Pull your enrollment book out. How old are they when they wrote this policy? Okay, they were this age. So they took out a 50. Where's my 40? This is what your monthly premium would look like. Okay, if we read, so you have that number. So, okay, let me crunch some numbers for you real quick. And Lori, you're keeping them on the phone and you're talking them through it. Don't give them any other numbers. How does that look for you? And what is the golden rule? First one to talk loses, right? You let them think about it. So I think I might be able to pull that off. Awesome. Don't offer anything else. Why would you? They're still getting the coverage because you know if they took that $50,000 policy and drop it to $25,000, does that even cover a funeral? Does it do much for the family at the end? Not a lot. It's a small policy nowadays for funeral costs. So you got to keep that in mind that you're still looking out for your client's best interest and their beneficiary, the reason they took it out in the first place. So then if they say, there's no way I can't, I want to, but I can't. Well, let's look at what it would be if we took it down to a 30 or, the lowest I can go is 25% or 50%. So 25,000 would be my lowest amount that I could take that policy to. So you take it down in increments, but be careful when you drop it down that you're not cutting your own throat.
Well, so if their premium is $100 a month, you can only convert them down to a coverage that's equal to or more than $50 a month.
No, the
So
face
it's
value,
up-
the face value of the policy, $50,000 AP policy,
Can't go back down then. Put it down to 25.
you can't go lower than 25,000. Yep.
It doesn't matter what the premiums are because when you do that, it's their new age, guys.
So on
Yep.
here, it says can only be reduced up to 50% of the current monthly base amount as well.
It's the same. Because you're,
But
I mean, it's going to vary here, hit and miss. So, I mean, I see the face. I know what you mean. Yes, it's not going to be exactly cut in half, but
But it won't matter as much as long as we follow the parameters of.
Mhm.
so
50%
you realize like their new age is gonna affect their premium because you're redating, right?
Well, this
Your
is
rate-
waive and reduce.
Waive and reduce, you're waiving premium, but you're changing that policy, you're reducing it. It's basically you're opening up that open enrollment, right? And now they have a new birthday, potentially,
birthdays don't apply to a waiver and reduce. Everything stays the same.
I'm sure.
Yep.
Definitely quoted my first month higher based on anything.
Have they?
Which
Then
is
I
why
misspeak.
I'm saying it's gotta be up to 50% because the
So-
premium is higher. With their new age.
Again, poetically written email to be able to solve that situation. I'm just kidding.
Politically written.
I was like, why, I wanna know who you're emailing because they don't ever respond to my emails like that.
Right.
Decline.
Or they just flat ignore. Oh,
Yeah.
oops, you made a mistake on that form. Oh, look, it went down there in that little filing bin, and I'll just wait till they forgot about it, and they finally email me and say, hey, what happened? Oh, you missed this form. Spot right here, you're supposed to check.
I digress.
Sorry. So I will look into that on the birthday, but when I was running and doing waive and reduce, it didn't affect you by your birthday. It was literally because your policy still has the same issue date. We're just reducing the amount of premium.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna double check on that, Diana, and I will send out a quick email.
If that's the case, if we get a for sure answer.
I
that's the
could be
case, that's
thinking
something
of
I
just a reduction. I could be, because if you just reduce the policy.
A conversion, yes. Conversion will
Definitely.
conversion definitely because you're changing the policy. This one you're just dropping it in half. So I will double check on that, but I do believe that if you waive and reduce, it doesn't change because they're
something to keep an eye on. See that it does get changed to their new age, that's something I would fight,
Mhm.
you know, but if it's, oh, you know, it's not supposed to be that way, it's
Yep.
because they got a new page and be like, okay, whatever you say.
I can't see it really mattering on their age anyways, for the fact of it's not like we're writing them a higher policy. We're actually reducing.
And you're not
it's
really
just-
changing the date of issue either, because when you just reduce the amount of coverage, you're just reducing the amount of premium AP. So that's where I think I might still be. I think I'm right. Okay, I know. I'm like, I don't want to give out wrong information to new. There is.
And this happens twice
I know.
in your career.
In your career
So-
twice. Unless you're heavy into conservation.
Bro, I don't wait to reduce, you're paying your back premiums, let's go, let's pay your premium. Shine up.
So all of these options outside of transferring from payroll deduction to bank draft, all of these other options is you looking out for your client, you going the extra mile of giving them the information they need and trying to keep your paycheck and your retirement for your family and for yourself. This is why we're here, right? Protect families, protect our own paycheck, and have a retirement. We're all in commission based, we're all in performance based pay, so we have 401ks. Huh? So that is your renewals or your retirement, and that's what you really need to focus on. And you see this list, and if I challenge any one of you to come to me in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be remote working after my surgery next week, so I'm going to be sitting there. I have time. Call me. We will get on Zoom on the computer. We'll go on the phone. Let's sit down and go through conservation to where you're comfortable with it. Reggie did it once, and then he hasn't done it again. I haven't seen one conservation come through.
Now you gotta call me out like.
Because you deserve it. Why you gotta call me out? Like, because it's true. So I challenge you to do that, and the sooner you start that, and the sooner of your career, Drew, Haley, the better off you're going to be. So take advantage of my time, especially over these next couple weeks in the holidays. You're gonna have days that being out in the field is not all that fun because of holiday and this and that. Conserve. Is it twice as hard during the holidays because people want to spend their money on, Christmas presents? Yes, but I've done it, and that's when I started. Was right in the middle of Thanksgiving and Christmas when I started doing conservation. It was hard. You're prepared, you give them the right amount of information, and you have pre-prepped all of your forms so you know what to say and when to say it. It's super easy. It's not anything to be scared of. You're going out there and talking to business owners, getting them to partner with you. I'm sorry, that's a little more scary. You've already talked to this person and wrote them. And if it wasn't you that wrote them and you're conserving a team's policy, you know your team. You know that you're already doing it. This is just a reverse option. Hey, we're just going to switch you over from payroll deduction to bank draft. Cool. Well, if not, and they're like, well, actually, I can't do that. That's when you know your options to go down. And you already have prepped that policy. You've already written down the numbers that you need to know. What options does this policy give me by your checklist? Okay, it's 2 months past due. Obviously, I can only waive 2 months. I can't waive 3. You're going to try and get them to pay 1 month. You're going to try and get them to pay both months. But based off the conversation, what are my next steps? So that's your prep. Diana, didn't I put a prep sheet together at one point for conservation?
Very good.
I think I said I was gonna, which is probably more like,
One that I use myself, but,
I will work on that. I'm gonna, will you, somebody shoot me a quick text message, conservation prep checklist?
I got you.
Okay. And that way I will work on that and then I will send that out too. I'm gonna double check on the,
Plus, you got a new.
How do you feel about me showing them where to find this in ICM?
that's absolutely perfect.
Okay.
So, but I'm gonna put together a checklist of stuff I want you guys to prep for. I thought I did one, so I'll go look and see. But I more than likely I said I was gonna do it and then got busy and forgot.
Are you still at 63673?
Absolutely not. You can delete that number unless you want to text my ex.
What?
Well, that's a lot.
Really rather you didn't, but if you want an interesting conversation, go right ahead.
Keep texting that now.
35979.
Yes, that's it. All right, so that's what I have. Diana is going to go over what the ICM looks like as far as you're going to try and find where your policies fall off.
Okay, so.
Does everybody know how to find their ICM and get into ICM?
Oh, this is perfect. Probably.
Yes or no?
Haley, have you been in your ICM?
Okay, hang on.
Yes. And Jesse, have you been in yours?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Can you? Actually, I can do it. I can do that. I want to do an unpin yourself.
What's the numbers? That's actually.
Okie dokies, artichokes. So, in order to do your ICM, you're going to go to Agent Services. Does everybody know how to go to Agent Services? agentservices.libertynational.com.
Where's your essay? Where's your essay, Drew? Don't you have one?
It's right here.
Wait, what? Oh, whoa, hey, how's it
Whoa,
going?
oh.
agentservices.libertynational.com. This is going to be the same sign-in as Epic. Everybody good?
I think so.
I'm kidding. No, I'm getting in trouble. I'm not.
Sorry.
Send him a poetic email.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Poetic email.
All right, so after you're in Agent Services and libertynational.com, guys, if you don't have this bookmarked, you should definitely have it bookmarked, because Agent Services is where you're going to find all of your marketplace bulletins. This is where you're going to find all of your rate sheets. This is where you're going to find everything that you're supposed to have for sales. You can find the e-app if you get a new computer and resources. All this stuff. This is very important. You should have access to your Agent Services at all times. So if you haven't bookmarked it, you're going to highlight that in your web address, bookmark this tab. I have a folder for my Liberty National tabs. Okay. Everybody good? Yep. Super. At the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see ICM. Next to it is your worksite billing login. That's also important if you have any franchises when you reclose a case, so you can see if they pay their bill. And if not, then you have the contact information to get a hold of them. So you're going to go to ICM. Again, if you have not taken care of the bookmarking that, you might want to do that. In your ICM, at the top, whenever you first open it, I already logged in, sorry. It's going to ask you to log in. The ICM is actually a slightly different login than your Epic. So if you don't have that, you're going to click forgot my password and get it set up.
Same email.
Same email. But the password is different. Usually, mine is always different. It's the same for you?
Yeah, I made mine. Yeah.
Mine, I think they have to change at different time periods, so eventually they catch up to each other, but I don't know. Okay.
I don't know what this password is.
It's at the first reset that they make you need to line up.
It's obnoxious. Okay. So once you're in the ICM, then on a Tuesday, it will automatically pop up like this with the most updated information. Now, obviously, mine is the 18th, which is next week, right? So it's going to pop up with that. And if you need to change the date, you're going to change the date first, and then you're going to go to your name. If you're in leadership, you're going to see everybody that's in your hierarchy for the last, whatever, 6 months until they fall off, okay? So then you're going to hit view. If you're logging in on a Tuesday, this would already be active, okay? And then on that, you're going to scroll down and you're going to choose right here your agent number. If you choose that, where it says commission account balance and your agent number, then you can see scroll all the way down, your policies that were in your name or in your team's name. And the first section of the commission account details is going to show you transaction type, and it says issues. And issues mean it actually issued as a policy. If you keep scrolling down, ooh, there's a good one. There's something different. Here's a manual adjustment. A manual adjustment is previously there was a mistake somewhere and they went in and keyed that in. So if you're not aware that you have something coming to you, that could be a COD that was placed late. That could be they did the commissions incorrectly. They commissioned it to the wrong person. This manual adjustment is because a policy was changed from a family plan to an individual plan before the full policy year had been paid. Okay, so they're manually adjusting to take some of that back. Okay, if you scroll all the way down, then you're going to see this thing right here. Okay, so we have chargeback details. It's going to tell you who's the agent that it's either under or who wrote it, the person that's insured, then their chargeback reason. It's going to show you the policy type, how much premium it was, and then how much of the percentage that was charged back. So in my case, on my team, I have 3 policies last week that charged back. We have a an individual cancer endurance plan that was canceled. When it's charged back 100%, that means it's canceled before the first payment was received. Okay, so that means that person decided to cancel their plan, or the franchise didn't pay their bill. So you have to figure out why that happened. Okay, so like for Christy, she's got a life policy here that is 100% canceled. We know that is because that person was issued a COD. So when they answered their quack for their life policy, they did not complete their quack, or there was some kind of medical problem, prescription history, something like that. So now we have to place that COD. If we can place it, then we'll get that money back. If we don't, then it will continue to charge back for the full 11 months. Same thing with Anthony. Gina, we know what happened with hers. She decided to cancel. So, and you can see that how much annual premium that was. It's a significant chargeback, and it's going to happen for 11 months. Okay. 11 months of chargeback. 13 months, it'll mess up your persistency.
Yep.
Are you okay over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're not going to see a ton. Whenever you're a baby, you don't have anything, right? I have what? Last week, because I don't have any policy. 11/11. That's what it is. So like,
I know. I don't know what to do. I was resetting the password. I already reset it, and then you decided to
Actually,
not work.
right after I reset it, I saw the screen.
So when you're a baby, and I love you, you're a baby, you don't have any problems because you don't have any policy, right? And then, like even me, I've been here for 5 years. I have a team of 12 people underneath me, whatever. I don't even know how many people, whatever. But codes all count. Kansas City, all the things, right? So like all those people are underneath me, all those codes, like you get 17,000 codes every single week. All those people are listed. But even with mine being here for 5 years, I only have 3 chargebacks. So you're not going to see it every single week. You don't want to see it every single week. Hopefully you don't see it at all. So if you don't see anything in your ICM, that's a good thing. Okay. So you're not expecting to see a big long list of chargebacks. That's not what you're expecting.
What's this not money?
You what?
You don't see no money here.
Well, no, but I don't want to have a negative either.
Looking at us as agents is something that you guys want to pay attention to because your team putting policies in your name to help you get those first personal paychecks until you get on your feet. Those are in your name. They're now, you're responsible. Your team's gonna help you with conserving and reinstating or redoing whatever, but the thing is, I mean, if you have a supervisor that helps keep your name, you know, they're gonna put policies in your name, but if that falls off,
That's on
you
you.
affect your patient. And you're gonna deal with that for the rest of the however many months that falls off.
And you're like, well, wait, I didn't write that.
It's not my fault. I didn't write that.
So
So
no
matter.
matter.
So that's where you need to work with your team, like, hey guys, it's still on, what do we need to do, why, what on this policy, what franchise were you at, what do we do? And that's where you're gonna start learning how to get into conservation all that. But definitely, even at an early stage, of them being a baby and not having written policies yet, you still need to say that, because your team's taking care of you, and they don't know what the policy is.
Because you have the.
Well,
That
just
person can get their-
Not all.
and each level of leadership, you guys, the more people you have on your team, like the more essays have 5 people, right? Because you have your codes, you have this, you have that. One second, Haley, I got you. You got this, that, something else. Like then you have the GA, and they have a multiple of that, right? And then the AD has a multiple of that. So it does behoove you to help. Okay, Haley, what you got?
So when I get on
Hey,
mine,
guys.
it shows. Where'd you go? So when I get on mine and go through where we can see where policies are written and stuff, I've got one on here, but it does say like the 100% charge or credit. So like, what does all that mean on my end? Is that something I need to handle, or?
Okay, so are you
looking at chargeback details,
or are you looking at issues like commission account details? Yours should be
Commission account details.
So that means it issued and you got paid that 100% of your commission. I don't see any chargeback for you.
Okay.
So your policy issued. Sorry. Your policy
And what will it
issued,
say
no
if it was a chargeback? What does it end up saying?
You're going to scroll down. It's going to be a whole nother section. You don't have any, but it'll say chargeback, and then it'll give you a reason, chargeback reason code here.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted
Good
to make sure I
question.
wasn't already like.
Yeah, you're good. I know you're like, it's brand new. No, you're good.
It's like I just started. What's going
What
on?
in the heck? Yeah, and hopefully it's a long time before you see that, but it does happen, guys. It does. Like something happened, they got a COD, we have to place it. But one of these people, I didn't even know we had a COD until they were like, it's already half due. You have 15 more days. I'm like, we didn't even get it. Because home office is stellar. Maybe they need a couple more poetic emails sent. Wyatt? Wyatt? Will help.
It's extremely important to know how to get into your ICM.
All right. Anybody else have questions on ICM conservation that we can answer for the whole group?
Anybody questions?